Every gamer knows this feeling. You start a new game, full of excitement, completely immersed in its world, and then life happens. Maybe it's work, maybe it's family, or maybe another game caught your eye. The first game is set aside, and you'll promise you will come back. But you don't. Weeks turns into months, and eventually you move on. It stays in your backlog, unfinished, but never forgotten. It's easy to feel guilty about our unfinished games. They sit there, staring back at us, reminding us of the stories we never saw through. But what if it's okay? What if unfinished games aren't failures, but pieces of a single journey that together make sense somehow? Let's be honest, gaming isn't what it used to be. Games are bigger than ever. Open world maps stretch for miles, quest logs feel like grocery lists, and then there's real life to contend with. And sure, some open world games are so good, they make you want to explore every single thing they have to offer. But sometimes, they're just too big. Eventually, it starts to feel less like an adventure and more like a chore. Just checking things off a list instead of truly enjoying the experience. For many of us, finding time to play games feels like squeezing water from a stone. Add that to the constant barrage of new releases, and finishing a game can almost feel impossible in a way. You always want to play what's new and exciting, so you start the next big thing, and the last game just sits there, collecting dust. Let's just look at 2024 alone. I've dropped a few games for different reasons, mainly lack of interest, or simply not having enough time to play them. Games like Rise of the Ronin, Octopath Traveler, or even Dragon Age the Veilguard. And that's just 2024 alone. Sure, the first one might not have caught my interest, but Octopath Traveler did. And yet it just sat there, abandoned. Part of the problem is that we love variety. Most gamers do, actually. One day we're deep into an RPG, the next we're craving a hack and slash or a competitive shooter. And don't even get me started on MMOs. Those require an entirely separate life. I've jumped from Final Fantasy to Poké Rogue, X-Defiance, and even Counter-Strike, all within a couple of weeks. And I know I'm not alone on this. I've tried to force myself to stick to one game at a time, and I still kind of do, but if I have to force myself, am I really having fun? Am I really enjoying myself? Or am I just crossing games off a list? Because sometimes when I do that, I really feel like I'm not enjoying them at all. It's not that we don't love the games we started, it's just that there's always another world calling our name, and that's perfectly fine. But what if you stopped looking at unfinished games as failures and started seeing them as meaningful experiences in their own right? Sure, you haven't seen the credits roll. Maybe some of your friends have, and you're a little jealous, or maybe even worried about spoilers. But do you really need to finish it? Think about it. Everyone says Breaking Bad is amazing, but if you've never watched it, do you truly miss something you never experienced? Can you even miss something that was never part of your life? Honestly, I don't think so. And I'll confess something. I've never finished a Left 4 Dead game. Yeah, that's right. And I feel like everyone and their mothers have. But I've played it. I've had amazing co-op sessions with friends. I love the game. I love the experience. And yet, I never finished it. And I'm okay with that. Honestly, the only reason I'd go back is if I had the chance to relive those moments with friends. But yeah, looking at our lives right now, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And that's perfectly fine. These moments stay with us, even if we never see the credits roll. A game doesn't have to be finished to leave an impact. Sometimes, all it takes is one beautiful moment, one heart-wrenching scene, or one unforgettable boss fight for it to stay with us. Every unfinished game tells a story. Not just of the characters of the game, but of us as players. Maybe you quit because life got busy. Maybe you got stuck on a frustrating level. Or maybe you just found something else you loved more. Another game that pulled you. But you quit. And sometimes that leaves you mad. Other time makes you think of stopping playing other games and forcing yourself to only play that game. I am here to tell you to stop doing that to yourself. You're playing games because you enjoy it, because you like the stories, because you like the thrill of the achievement. Whatever the reason, it stops making sense the minute you're not enjoying it. And stopping a game should be a story on itself, about yourself, and can even serve as a way for you to think about the reasons it led you to do it. Why did you stop enjoying that game? What's about you that made you walk away? Those can become very interesting moments and questions, allowing you to get to know yourself better in the long run. It can also help you understand better what games you'll enjoy more or less in the future. I'm guilty of buying a game I thought I'd love, only to drop it after an hour. And if you've been gaming long enough, I bet you have done it too. So learn from it. Our gaming journeys are defined not just by the games we complete, but by the ones we leave behind, and why we left them behind. Some games call us back years later. We pick them up again, seeing them with fresh new eyes, shaped by new experiences of life. And sometimes, we finally finish them, but other game remains frozen in time, like snapshots of a particular chapter in our lives. Both are totally valid. Gaming isn't about checking off a list, it's about having fun and enjoying the moment. At least, that's what it is for me, and I think for most players too. In conclusion, it's time to reframe how we think about unfinished games. They are not failures, they're not regrets. They're a reflection of who we are, of the moments we had and the worlds we briefly called home. To the games we never finish, thank you. Thank you for the memories, the lessons, and the joy you brought us, even if only for a while.